All right, I am going to open the Monday, October 5th, 2020 Board of Selectmen's meeting. We're having a joint meeting with the building committee, and right now I will turn it over to Tim.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions on the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 19, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Freetown Board of Selectmen and Building Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort is being made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to view this meeting while in progress may do so by accessing the live stream of this meeting on the town's YouTube channel, youtube.com/freetownma, or accessible by visiting freetownma.gov/freecam. In the event the live stream is unsuccessful, I am recording this meeting. And make sure I'm actually recording this meeting. There we go. I'm recording this meeting, and the recording will be posted to the town's YouTube channel as soon as I am able to following the conclusion of this meeting. And for the record, I'll do a quick roll call here. We have Charlie Sullivan, myself, Tim McIntosh, David DeMonch, Lisa Pacheco, Trevor Matthews, George Grunwald, Jeanette Tisdale, Paul Lubin, Paul Sadik, Bob Jose, and then on audio only, we have Bruce Wilbur, Mike McHugh, and Jacqueline Brown.
Thank you, Tim. All right, so I just wanted to have everybody here so we can all be brought up to speed on just a couple of things. First of all, the police station and how that's going and when we're going to be opening that. The second thing is the COA building. And lastly, we're going to have to set some time aside for the building committee to talk about what we want to do with the old police station. So those are three things that we need to really focus on. I don't know if anybody's been by the police station, but it's like in its final stages. Charlie, have you been in lately?
Yes. Yeah, I was in Wednesday afternoon, and the furniture's all set up basically, and all they have to do is the IT and the radios.
What do you think?
Impressive.
Yeah. So we wanted to have an open house, but that's not gonna. I had to do that because the dogs were barking. So that's going to happen somewhere down the line, but we are going to have an opening ceremony, but not necessarily a walkthrough for the whole townspeople. That'll be done in the future. So I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed. If you'd like to stop by and look at it, I'm sure you can, through the town administrator, make an appointment. Because you're all part of it. You're the, we're the ones that started this all off. So I think that you all should be commended for, moving forward with this project. So that being said, the building committee was formed to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen on all town building projects. We did an independent analysis. We looked at presentations, and we all decided what the best approach would be. And at that time, we decided that the police station was the first project to move forward. We also voted on doing a COA/library building, and then lastly, looking forward to the town hall. The COA placed a petition article for approximately $500,000 for an addition to the senior center. So here we are, and we need to review and evaluate and decide how we're going to move forward with this. So Bruce, I'd like to hear from you, like why and what your outlook is on this, and then we can go from there.
Well, basically, we brought it before the Council on Aging and voted to bring it before I know you wanted to bring it before the Building Committee last August. So you did. And you all voted, I guess, by consensus, kind of agreed to go out and look at buildings that were Council on Aging and library. February, I came before the Board of Selectmen to find out or let you know that the Council on Aging voted to put the petition on the annual town warrant. Like I said at the meeting, I was just bringing it as courtesy so that we don't want to feel like that we were leaving anyone out. And that's what we did.
So can you just let us know what your feeling is and what the $500,000 is gonna get you?
$550,000 will get us 340 square foot addition, and top and bottom will get us 530 square foot of occupancy space.
Okay, so have you considered electrical, elevators, fire protection, roofing, excavation, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, or septic?
Yep.
And all of that is in the $550,000?
We had, that's been in consideration all along, yes.
Okay, but I'm just gonna ask it again. Is that part of the $550,000?
Yes. To the best of my knowledge, the conversations we've had with consultants, yes.
So you're having conversations with the consultants. I'm not sure how that all works, because just remember, a petition is only a mechanism to have an article placed on the warrant. It's the Board of Selectmen that authorizes spending of funds that were voted on. So if there's not enough funds, or if there's funds that need to be voted on, that needs to be sent to the board, and the board is the only one that can sign off on a contract. So I'm just wondering.
Well, I think that's kind of the reason why we came to you in February, to let you know what we were doing. We understand the process, Lisa.
But this is from Mass General Law. This is not my process. This is process of Mass General Law. So I just want to make sure that we all are on the same page. And I feel like right now, and I'm going to bring it to the building committee, because it's the building committee that we all need to decide on which way we're going to move forward with this. Is the building committee going to make a recommendation to have a subcommittee for oversight of the COA? Is that how we're going to proceed? Are we all going to be hands off? And, I'm not sure who's going to be making those decisions for the COA. And I'd like to hear from the building committee as far as, how this process has worked for us, and how I believe it has benefited the town and saved us money in the long run. So I just want to hear from everybody on, what the pros and cons of all of this are, and bring it forward to everybody. It's not my decision alone. The townspeople may have spent 500 or authorized to spend $550,000, but we need to make sure that $550,000 is going to get you exactly what you said it's going to get you. And I don't think it will, but I'm only one person.
Lisa, can I interrupt you?
Mhm.
What I think we should do is get an architectural drawing of what it is that the COA would like to do, and put that out to bid, and see if we're in the ballpark and what it will entail and all of that. I think, we've been talking about this for a year now, and we just keep pushing it back and back, and there doesn't seem to be a will to move ahead. But part of the problem, I think, is that we really don't know the details. So if we go ahead and get the architectural drawings of what it is that the COA wants, then we could vote on that, whether it's doable, not doable, etc. How do you feel about that?
So that's how we followed before. We did a designer bid build protocol. That's what we used. And just to let you guys know that the town did vote, or the Board of Selectmen did vote, because you have to vote on a set of rules. So we did vote on that, and that was under Mass General Law. So we
Vote
did.
on what, Lisa? What did we vote on?
We adopted written procedures and policies on all projects subject to Mass General Law. So
Okay.
we can move that forward and get that to everybody, but we want to just make sure that we're doing the right thing procedural wise, and also following the law. So
Right. But
again,
the law is relatively clear. The first step is to get an architectural drawing. That should go out to bid to get the drawing. And then I think we can discuss it intelligently. Right now, we're just talking about something that we don't quite understand and don't have any detailed information.
Agree that we need to get the ball rolling. I just, I want to make sure, again, that we're all on the same page. So,
Well,
go ahead,
I have-
Paul.
I have a concern that we voted to look into a combination library COA building as a building committee. And I think that that's the way we should have gone forward. And in spite of the fact that we've voted 550,000, what will this do to a plan for building a COA library combination eventually? I don't think the town have the stomach to have wasted or spent 550,000 and then come again for several $1 million to build a new facility.
I think you're exactly right. And right now we have a 13, 14, $15 million nut for the police station. I think it's going to be a while before the town will vote an override again to build anything. So we have a few years to go.
Madam Chairman, Madam Chair. Okay, I want to set something straight, George. There's no $12 million nut we're cracking. What we have left is $4 million to bond. So let's keep the figures where they are, okay? And we have George, I'm speaking. We have a $4 million bond to sell or to sell on the police station. That's the fact, George. Let's keep it to the facts. Okay, first.
That
All
$4
right.
million,
The other
that
is this.
$4 million isn't the whole bill, is it?
If I may, Madam Chairman, if I
Go
may.
ahead. Paul. Yeah. George,
Paul
let's let him speak first and then you can answer.
Okay, okay.
As Paul Lubin has said, the building committee, and that's the people who have been charged by the town to construct our buildings at this time. As Paul has said, we have spoken to the idea of a COA library combination building. And that's where the building committee has gone. The Council on Aging has gone off on their own with an idea of their own. And if I may ask you, Bruce, have you considered the fact that you're going to have to upgrade the present COA if you do anything there?
That's been discussed as well. But let me just explain it on my end. First of all, we did come before the Board of Selectmen a year and a half ago, prior to the last year's annual town meeting. And David, you can address this as well, and maybe not address it, but at least confirm it. That we requested $17,000, David, to do a I don't want to say study because it wasn't a study, but it was
a conceptual design.
Conceptual design, and the Board of Selectmen chose to remove it from the warrant. And so after that, that's when the Council on Aging sat down, had a meeting, and decided to proceed in this fashion. So it's not something that we did without anyone knowing, first of all, because we did talk to the Board of Selectmen prior to that. And Charlie, you were on that board, and I know you're not in favor of this, but this is not. Then the other thing I want to say first is that this has nothing to do with the police department or any other department. We're looking at this as a Council on Aging addition, so we can do what we have to do for the seniors of this town. I know you start talking about the police department, but listen, it has nothing to do with that shouldn't even come up in the conversation, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. As far as Paul Lubin, you had mentioned about the Council on Aging Library. Well, back in August of last year, we did meet. Me and Jeanette met with the building committee, and we sat back and said, okay, they were going to go ahead and go out and look at different venues in the state that had that entity. And then in February, when I met nothing had been done to even go out and see what that would be.
There aren't any.
Well, yes, there is,
Just one.
yeah.
Just
No,
one.
you got Hanson. Hanson is one, and there's another one in the western part of the state.
There's one. As far as I know, there's only one.
So, I mean, and David, you even said at the meeting that nothing was done to progress that search at the February meeting. So that was when we decided we voted to put on the warrant the article for the 550,000. We've talked to a couple of construction companies to make sure that we've probably covered everything. And I'm sure that we probably haven't, okay? Because in the preliminary, with 530 square feet, we do know that it could trigger a few other items that need to be done. But with the numbers that we have, we think the 550,000 wasn't something we just pulled out of the air. We sat down and looked at different things, the elevator possibly, and if that's fact, then we feel as though we do have enough money for that as well. If this goes the way the Council on Aging wants it to go, with no interference in revising, changing anything that we perceive, then we feel that this can be done within the $550,000 range. It only happens when things start changing by interference that I think that it could go well over 550,000. So with that being said, I mean, if this is not something that we tried to come in the back door and try to do. We were upfront with it back in a year ago before the town meeting. We were upfront again in August, and we were again upfront with it in February. So, I mean, as far as that goes, it's not something that we haven't discussed. We've been discussing it right along. We need more space at that Council on Aging. Now, if the building committee feels as though that they want to go with a senior center or a library, we have no problem with that at all. Because we also feel that building would have much use in the future, even with the extra space that we have in there for any other entity that would be required. And you know as well as we all do, that how long did it take to get a police department? How long did it take to get a fire department over on Bullock Road? It takes a lot of time. We don't have that time at the senior center. We're busting at the seams. And this COVID situation has even increased our services. So, I mean, I know what you're talking about. We'd love to have a new senior center and a library attached together, I guess. But right now at this time, and the building will be able to be used years and years and years down the road, no matter what. So I don't know what else I can actually add to that, so.
Go ahead, Paul.
You know, as Paul Lubin stated earlier, this committee was put together a long time ago, and we kind of set up a pattern of where we were going to go. First, the police station, because that was the most needed. And then we were hoping for a combination senior center, a new senior center, and a library. Right now, and I'm talking from the library standpoint, primarily because of COVID, we're only operating one library in a building that we don't even own. And we can't open up the one down in Asona Hathaway because we have no running water. We have no toilet facilities. In fact, we probably should never open that library again. So the thought was by the building committee, at least my recollection of it, was that we'd go for a combination. Now, certainly David may be right about the fact that there's only one in the state, but I passed that one in the state just yesterday when I go see my daughter who lives in Hanson. It's a one-floor facility. One side is the library, one side is a beautiful senior center. And certainly to me, it's too bad we can't do both at the same time. I just worry, and I know I'm a senior. I'm 72, so I feel for the seniors. But what I'm saying is, I just hope we don't spend $500,000 and find out it's not going to meet the needs of the seniors. it is what it is. That's just my take on it. I just see the library situation moving further and further and further back. We've talked about libraries even when I was on the board of Selectmen, and it just keeps moving to the back. So I don't know if we'll ever see one, but that's just my take. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I would like to express the fact that if there's only one, how come? Does it not work? And what we're trying to do right now is expand so that we can give our seniors adequate facilities to do different things. And this was brought in way before the COVID. So I don't think we should blame COVID on this. We've just been hassling at this situation for way too long. And truthfully, I don't think the town's people will vote for another new building in the very near future.
Robbie, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was just curious on how the procedure went with RFPs, if all those numbers though were sent out with RFPs, if there was a feasibility study done to see what they actually need for space, if there's a mechanical drawing that they came up with so they know exactly what space they're getting. The numbers are, it sounds like it's around $1,000 a square foot. They should be able to get a lot for $1,000 a square foot. So I don't know. Obviously, procurement law is in effect and they have to follow procurement law. So they need to know what exactly they're going to get for that money, and it has to go out to bid. They can't just pick one architect. They can't just pick one builder. It all has to go through RFP. And has any of that been done? Has there any RFPs been done with about the number they came up with, or is it just a guesstimation?
Well, that's what we're looking for, is to go out to an RFP on the design.
We have to. The point
It sounds
is,
like they've already got the design in. By the sounds of what I've heard, it sounds like they've already tried to get a design, all this other stuff, and that's my question is.
I think that what initially they were talking about was doing the conceptual plan. If you're going to do a full architectural plan, then you're going to need anything over $100,000 and has an architectural fee over $10,000 requires that the town do designer selection. You have to go through a process to select an architect for the project. That it won't require an OPM because the only requirement that would kick in would be over $1.5 million. However, I'd strongly recommend that we have a clerk of the works, even if it's a temporary kind of thing, to manage the construction portion of the project, or have our building inspector serve in that capacity. But the first step would be to do a design selection RFP, send it out. The two are separate from each other. What you do basically is you develop a set of criteria that you require of the architect relative to the project. You rate them on their proposed on their proposal, and then only then, and you rank them, and only then do you open the price proposal, because the whole project in terms of selecting a designer shouldn't be based on the price strictly alone. It should be based on the quality of the presentation put forth by the architect. So that whole step has to be done under state procurement for building construction projects.
And I'm well aware of the process. My question is where are they in the process? They've already got an end number of $550,000. I'm curious where they are in the process, and I think that's more of a question to Bruce.
Yeah, I think that Bruce had gone out and talked to a couple contractors. I'm not going to speak for Bruce, but that was my understanding of it.
Well, I'll answer that. What we did was, when we initially talked about it on the Council on Aging, we just talked about obviously pushing the front out 10 feet and 40 feet wide roughly on the second floor. So we had talked to a couple of contractors and asked them their opinion, what we could do. I talked to one contractor that was involved with with the situation years ago, and we didn't see any problem with doing that. We haven't done anything, Bob, as far as going to any RFP, but I'll tell you what I did. I kind of did my own due diligence because I'm curious as well, and I want to make sure that the process is done correctly. And I've been in contact with Boston and spoke with the department up there on the procedure. And from what I understand, I mean, basically what we're looking for right now from the Board of Selectmen is permission or authority to go out and get a design based on the concept that the COA has and what we've discussed and what we have written down, what we have drawn down at this point. Nothing's official as far as the drawings. Nothing can be used for any construction. But we've got a concept. We know what we want to do and what we need to do. And with the numbers that I got, I'm told that it would cost less than $10,000 to go out for design specs on the building. So with that being under $10,000, I'm told that it would just require going out for three quotes and 3 or 4 quotes or whatever we want to do. Pick a number of vendors and have them explain to them what we want to have done and have them quote on that. So, but Bob, to answer your question, there hasn't been any, we know we don't have the authority to go out, Bob, the Board of Selectmen do. So that's kind of why we're trying to work together with them at this point and go forward and hopefully get something done.
I think that the building committee is the one that should be picking vendors for this thing.
Why?
Because the building committee was the one formed and charged with doing this for the townspeople. Remember, we kept coming back to do small capital projects all the time, and townspeople said, we want to have an overall plan. So you guys need to make a building committee, and that's exactly what we did. We formed a building committee. We worked under the direction of the Board of Selectmen. We looked at the feasibility study done. We had presentations made to us, and then we took time and made logical decisions moving forward that we thought were in the best interest of the taxpayers. We want to just make sure that we're going to deliver a building or an addition that meets the needs of not only the citizens, but represent sound investments of tax dollars. And if you didn't do, or whomever didn't look at the programming and what the needs are of the COA, then when we go back and make change orders or have to do exactly what needs to be done, that's when it starts to become costly. So we can say, oh, let's just throw an addition right here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we follow the programming of what is truly needed at the COA. So
what I'd like to add to that is that the COA met a number of times before we decided what we would like to do for an addition up there based on the needs of the seniors of the town. And that was our decision and to keep the cost where it is reasonable as far as what we feel and what would help us to enhance what we have up there to provide services to the seniors. Now, I guess the question would be is, where do you want to go from here? I mean, the Board of Selectmen ultimately have to sign the contracts, not the building committee. Is that correct?
the Board of Selectmen ultimately signs the contracts, but we look for a recommendation from the building committee. So let me throw this out there, and I'll take anybody's input at any time. If we throw out to do an RFP to come and look at what exactly needs to be done at the COA and how much we think it's going to cost, and then it comes back to the building committee and we weigh out, is this reasonable? Is it getting the COA really what they truly need, or is this just a Band-Aid? And I know that in the future we can use a building. That's not what I'm saying, but you know, it's one thing to put an addition top and bottom. It's everything else to look at all the soft costs everything that's going to be included, the clerk of the works and everything else from electrical all the way down to septic, because that's another thing. We also have to look, and I know Bruce, you disagree with me a little bit. I'm not saying that the old police station has anything to do with this, with the COA. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if we decide that the old police station is going to be leveled, there are certain things that the police station right now does to take care of the COA, and all of that stuff is going to have to be transferred over to the COA. So, I mean, we do have to take that into consideration somewhat. So I'm not sure how the rest of the committee feels. Charlie?
Got a few questions. First of all, if I could ask Paul Sadek. Paul, do you know anything of the library building funds that come from the state? I understand that at one time, if not even now, we are at the top of that list. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know where we are at with that because I don't think we're at the top of the list. I do not, because we never did that. We have never got the funding to do that study, as far as I know.
We needed the second part to that, and that only comes every other year. So I'm not sure where we are in the cycle for that.
Paul
Okay.
Lubin, listen, let me ask Paul Lubin. Paul, do you know anything about this?
Because of the needs, because we don't have a library that's reasonable for a town like us, we are at the top of the list in terms of if we provide them with a plan and a request.
Right. Okay.
We're certainly not there yet. We have spent some money for a plan. You've seen some drawings of what we think would be a library, but we have not looked into a plan for a library COA. The state has said they would fund the library part of the library of our library COA, and it's in the neighborhood of 50% of that.
Okay. All right. I am not opposed to the COA or anyone else getting buildings that they need. What I want to see is that when we walk away from the project, we're walking away like we hopefully have walked away from the police station building project, with a building that's going to last for 50, 60, 70 years. All right, that's my interest. That's my interest in any building the town does, because I have seen over the years where we have built buildings that have not been that. Okay, the former police station was built in 1978, and 20 years later it was obsolete, and we held on to it. We used it for another 20 years. And so my concern is that as we go to build any kind of a project, that we put the money in a good investment. Now, one of the things that concerns me here is we're talking about a 530 square foot addition, something like that, at $1,000 a square foot. The police station was built for around $500 per square foot, 500 and change probably. And that building, as we built it, police stations are the most expensive buildings to build. There's all kinds of things that you need to do that you don't normally need to do in another building. One of them is you have to have bulletproof walls in certain areas. Just one thing to note. And so my belief is that if we go out and we build a new COA/library, we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck because of these things. First of all, if you put the two buildings together, so to speak, as one building, the plant, the boilers, electrical needs and so forth are going to be one building. Even in that's only one thing. The other thing is this: you have a foyer. Instead of having to have two foyers, you have one foyer. So now you're using less space for such things. We can design a building that would serve both the library and the COA, and be able to use a lot of the things that one building would use. If we built one building and then another building, we would have duplicating activity. And that's the idea. That's why I have that idea. And I'm going to say, folks, I'm going to be stubborn. I'm going to be a stubborn Irishman. That's my belief. Okay. And building an addition on that in 10 years is going to be obsolete. That may not have the use that we think it's going to have. It is a major problem. I mean, it's a waste of money. Okay. A total waste of money. And the other thing is I see in this plan that the COA has come up with is that we haven't really looked at a lot of things. The fact of the matter is the COA is a modular built home that was built 35 years ago, at least. And we'd be throwing good money after bad to do anything with that as a COA at this time. Yes, it's going to take 2 years to build, and that's a big problem. Nobody can bang their heels and wiggle their nose and have a new building. That's how I feel. You could build a 15,000 square foot building for probably around $7.5 million. And you say $7.5 million, wow, that's a lot of money. Yes, it is. But the fact of the matter is you're going to have investment over 50, 60 years. Spread that out over 50, 60 years, even at today's dollars, never mind as we go forward. And it's trivial. And the thing is that probably we're not going to be having to borrow, we're not going to have to borrow $7.5 million, or whatever it might be. But I don't see any other way. Putting some a 500 square foot addition to the building, in my opinion, is nonsense. Especially at basically twice what you're building the police station for today. I'm done.
Well, thank you, Charlie. I'll do girls before boys. Go ahead, Jeanette.
That's fine.
Okay, you're saying 7 million. It's probably 7 million now. 8 to 10 years or however many years down the road, that's going to cost a lot more money. Right now, 540 square feet at $500 a square foot is $275,000. Please take out your calculators and check on that. Then we have another $275,000 to do the septic, the electrical, and anything else that goes along. That's now. If you wait, it goes up. The price always goes up. The town right now is quite aggravated with the amount of money for the police station.
Well, hold on.
No, Charlie. Let Jeanette speak first. Go ahead, Jeanette. You can finish.
Okay. A lot of people are upset with the amount of money. Charlie?
No, the town, no.
Charlie, I know exactly what you're going to say, Charlie. I'm going to follow up. I promise. Charlie.
With over 60% vote. All right. So don't tell me that somebody's afraid of it. I'm not going to put up with nonsense.
I know, Charlie. I know what you're going to say. In it will be addressed. Okay, I will address it. Go ahead, Jeanette.
It's just going to cost a lot more. Right now, we take COVID away. We cannot service our seniors properly. When the town needs the building, we have to cut all our activities off. And we're getting a lot of grief from the seniors, as it should be, because that senior center is supposed to be for them. And it's being used for so many other different things. And,
okay.
I'm really upset. And I'm in a quandary because I'm on the building committee and I'm also a senior.
I know, I know.
And Charlie, it was not very professional the way you acted.
Okay.
No.
Let's
no,
not poke.
I'm not-
Please,
I'm not-
let's not poke. Listen to me.
No.
Jeanette and Charlie, I hear you both. Here's the thing. People can say whatever they want about the police station, but I'm gonna tell you, we did a damn good job with that police station. And we made some really hard decisions. And at the end of the day, that building is gonna cost the taxpayers $4 million. You know why? Because we saved in capital stabilization. We did some cost saving measures around the building, and that building now is gonna cost us $4 million. We voted on a $7 million project, and over the cost of building, we saved another $3 million. So I'm not gonna say that it is what it is. I'm proud of the work we did. So $4 million for that project, everybody can look at it. It's you know what?
Madam Chairman, Madam Chair, if I may, I've got to leave because I got another commitment.
Yeah, Bruce, we have to cut this because we have.
Let me just make one statement, first of all, please, if you don't mind. Listen, we don't want, this is not about the police department. I mean, listen, everybody can see that's a fabulous building and fabulous for the town. This is not trying to compete with the police department and the COA. It's strictly, we need to improve the services of our senior citizens, and this is the way that the COA feels we can do it, least expensive, and for a period of time, at least 5 to 10 years, and maybe a lot more. So with that, I mean, I've got a commitment, so I've got to leave, Chairman.
That's okay, Bruce. We're gonna talk about this, but maybe we can continue and have another meeting and maybe even bring in Andy DiGiamo to talk to everybody about, we're throwing around, it's gonna cost this, and this, and actually no one really knows what it's gonna cost. So you can say 550,000, or you can say $1.5 million. At the end of the day, I think what Charlie and Robbie and Paul and Jeanette and the other Paul, Jackie and Mike haven't said anything. So, but I think the feeling is that we want to have a building that the townspeople can be proud of. We want to make sure that it lasts 50 years in the future, not another 5 to 10 years. And we want to make sure that it's done the right way through policies and procedures and protocols that the state sets. And I think that we're all on the same page about that. Now, if we do an RFP and it comes back to the building committee and the building committee looks at it and says it's going to cost 1.5 or $2 million, that's something we all have to sit down and consider, because maybe that's just not the best approach.
There is no consideration. It just doesn't happen.
Right. But I think that we all need to know that, right? I think that that's the first step.
Well,
So
I think we need to sit down with some people who are going to bid on this project on the design only. And once we get those 3 or 4 bids, I'm not willing to sit down with one contractor who probably will also quote on this. And we need to sit down to give them our inspection, get their thing, get a design, build thing. And then when you put it out for the final construction, then the 550 starts to come in. So we're talking based on what we know, or we think we know, based on what we've been told, it's going to cost us $10,000 or less to get that information, to get the build to spec design done. Other than that, my personal feeling is that we should, I wish the Board of Selectmen or the Building Committee, whoever, put it out for, get 3 or 4 different companies that'll bid on this, who are able to do this, sit down with them and give them the specs that we have, rough specs that we have now, and what we want to do. And once we get that done, then we can put it out and see. Like I said, the numbers we have right now are 550,000, a lot less actually, but that's what we're talking about right now. So until we get a design on it, on what we need to do, the final number, is, like I said, 550 is what we've got estimated. So with that being said, I gotta leave, Lisa. So thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Lisa, can I ask a question?
Yes, I just want to make sure that we end this soon because we have an executive session. Judge Pucci is waiting for us on the other side of this. So go ahead, Paul.
All right. When we were working on the police station and we thought we may have to put an elevator in and we got the waiver. You got anybody remember how much it was going to cost?
250.
250,000, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you would get around not putting an elevator in the senior center. Once you start remodeling the place, you're going to have to. I mean, when I heard $500,000, I mean, I don't think they're going to get a lot for that once you figure in all the costs that are going to go with it. And if well, you're probably too young to remember when they built the old police station, the white building. And Charlie, you were around. Well, maybe you were. Yeah, you were probably around. I mean, it was supposed to be a 2-story building, everything else, and then all of a sudden they started cutting, and it turned into the building that we have. You can't do it that way. You got to do it the right way. And I honestly believe that the police station that we have now was done correctly. It was done correctly, and the only thing is, Lisa, the only thing I disagree with what you said. We're only going to bond 4 million.
4 million. Mhm.
But the cost to the taxpayer, because of all the savings, all the money, tax money that went into stabilization, the real cost of the police station is what, 13.5 million? Okay, all right.
Right, but we went to the, right,
Yeah.
yes, the
Right.
cost of the project was 13 million, but we
Right.
saved over half of it through savings.
Right, that's right.
All right,
Right.
so does anybody have a recommendation to make from the building committee as how to?
Just one more thing,
Go ahead.
Lisa, real
Yep.
quick. What I see in front of us basically is 3 options. It's, do we do just the addition like the COA wants? Do we do just get a plan to see what a new COA would be and then doing a COA library combination? Maybe you would want to do a design or a feasibility study on the 3 options and see what you're going to get for your money for the 3 options. Then the building committee can make a reasonable choice on which way it wants to proceed, whether it just wants to do the addition because that would be the cheapest, easiest, quickest thing to do, or if it wants to go all the way to full combination of both. But without anything, I think it's hard for the building committee to make any decisions. Not even worse for the board of selectmen.
Bob,
agree.
if you have a motion, I'll second it.
I'll make that as a motion.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tim,
Anybody opposed?
opposed?
You have to do a poll.
Yeah, he's got to do a poll.
Mr. Jose,
Yes. Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Mr. Demonch,
I'm not a part of it. Oh, I'm
you're a
on
member of the committee. Yeah.
Okay, all right, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking you're pulling the board. It's like, oh my God, please.
Your vote,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes,
Mr. Matthews is not on that board. Mr. Grunwald,
Yes.
Ms. Tisdale,
I'm abstaining.
okay. Mr. Lubin,
Yes.
Mr. Sadik,
Yes.
Mr. McHugh,
Yes.
and Mrs. Brown.
Unmute.
Don't think she's there.
okay. All right, so we'll put a timeline on this and we'll bring it back to the board. Is everybody okay with that? Or to the committee, I mean, everybody all right with that? All right, I appreciate it. We are gonna have to have another meeting coming up soon because we are gonna have to start talking about what to do at the old police station, so.
I'll make a motion to close the building committee.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Jose,
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes,
Mr. Grunwald,
Yes.
Ms. Tisdale,
Yes.
Mr. Lubin,
Yes.
Mr. Sadik,
Yes.
Mr. McHugh,
I'm sorry, I had to step out of the room for a moment. What are we voting on right now? I'm sorry.
motion to adjourn.
Okay, I will say yes with the addition that Jackie's vote on the last question was yes, but you guys couldn't hear her.
oh, okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And Mrs. Brown, I think it's going to pass regardless.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. I think we're all trying to do the right thing. It's just, we have to figure out what approach we're gonna take, but I appreciate you all taking the time to be here.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Lisa, we're actually two separate selectmen's meetings, so you can actually vote to adjourn the selectmen's meeting and then we can reopen the next one.
Okay, but we don't have to go anywhere, right?
Nope, it's gonna be the same
Okay.
meeting room.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion from the board to adjourn this meeting.
Motion granted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Selectman Grunwald,
Yes.
Selectman Matthews,
Yes.
and Selectman Pacheco.
Yes.
All right, so let me just stop the live stream here.